And you can use any method. If you look at this first example, you can see that linear combination, if you just directly combine these equations, the y's will cancel out, so that's the easiest thing to do. We'll just combine straight down our columns. 8x, the y's cancel, is equal to 12. Divide both sides by 8. 4 goes into 12 3 times, 4 goes into 8 twice, so we get our answer of x is 3/2. So now we can plug it into either of these equations. It really doesn't matter which one. I'm going to choose my first equation. So 3 times my value that I found for x, 3/2, plus 2y is equal to 4, and then solve the resulting equation for y's. So 3 times 3/2 gives me 9/2, plus 2y is equal to, and since I'm working in halves here with my constant, I'm going to turn 4 into halves. 4 is 8/2. And so when I subtract 9/2 from both sides, I'm left with -1/2. And instead of dividing by 2, I'm going to get rid of my coefficient of 2 by multiplying both sides by 1/2. Those cancel, leaving y is equal to -1 over 2 times 2, or 4. So there would be my y coordinate. So my solution is the point 3/2, -1/4 as my answer. In the second example, again, I can choose any method. If I try to substitute in, I'll have to work with fractions, so I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get rid of my fractions at the same time as I create equations or manipulate the equations so that they can directly combine and cancel using linear combination. So when I look at these, what I can do is if I multiply every term in this second equation by 8, I can get rid of all of the fractions here. So when I do that, I wind up with x minus y equals 19 times 8. 8 times 10 is 80. 8 times 9 is 72. 80 plus 72 is 152. So here's my bottom equation. And then the top equation, what I want to do is I want to get it so that one of the variables will cancel. Well, if I multiply everything by a 4, this will become a -y, but I want it to be a positive y. So I'm going to change that to a -4. And when I distribute this through, 2 goes into -4, leaving a -2x. Negative and negative becomes a positive 1y. And finally, 10 times -4 is -40. So there's my two rewritten forms. I can now combine straight down the columns. This gives me a -x, the y's cancel, is equal to 112. Change the sign of both sides of this equation, and I get my x value to be -112. Now I can plug this into any form. I could use one of the original forms, but since those have fractions, I'm going to go ahead and change it to this equation. So if I substitute in a -112 for x, minus y is equal to 152, what I can do is now solve. If I add 112 to both sides, this gives me positive 264, and then change the sign of each side of this equation, and that gives me my solution, -264. So my answer for this is -112, -264 as my solution set.